We are so excited to have a Brooks graduate here with you that has served in the military. So today we have Michael. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Would you mind introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
My name is Michael Rickard. I was born and raised here in Florence, Alabama. I'm a Brooks graduate, class of 2002, and I am currently work for the Florence Police Department, and I am a school resource officer with Kilby Laboratory School.
I love it. So, could you tell us from a little bit about your journey from the time that you graduated from Brooks to where you are now? What does your military experience look like?
For me, my military experience, my family had a strong, uh, a lot of members served within the military in my family. So, as a senior in at Brooks, my next step was looking at going to college.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I was unable to afford that with my family. So my father told me that, looking at the military, that they would pay for it. So my whole purpose for joining the military was to go to college. Uh, so I joined the military after graduation. I went for a semester of college here at UNA and then reported to boot camp at Paris Island with the Marine Corps. 13 weeks after that, graduated. I stayed in the Marine Corps for 21 years and 3 months until I retired last June. And so, probably about 16 years ago, I would say 16, 17 now. It's hard to remember. I started my law enforcement career in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And then me and my wife, who's also a Brooks graduate, class of '04, we were living in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, about to give birth to our second daughter. So we moved back where all of our family's from. So,
Yeah. So, what was your job while you were in the military?
so for me, my job or my military occupational specialty was actually artillery. So normally, whenever I tell people that, they don't have an understanding of what artillery is. So the best way I can explain it is if you think of an old Civil War movie or an old American Revolutionary War movie, a cannon, but they're much larger, much bigger nowadays. And so that's what I did for my entire career, as I was within the artillery field.
Okay. So, were you active duty for your entire time in the military or in the reserves? And what's the difference between the two?
So my entire time in the military, other than deployments and things like that, I was a reservist. So the difference between a reservist and active duty is basically on active duty, you're going to be that's going to be your job. Is you are in the military and you're going to go to where the military needs you to go. You'll have options of where you want to go, but depending upon what the military needs, they're going to send you. So, you could end up in California, you could end up in Montana, you could end up in Korea. Uh, for the reserves, you still do your military requirements, but you are more based close to where you locally live. So for me, I started out going down to Huntsville, Alabama, because that was an artillery unit. And so I started there and everything. But you only do it, you usually go down there a weekend a month and then 2 weeks out of the year is normally how it works. But then again, things change. But also with that, as far as on the reserve side, the number of jobs that you can do is limited based on exactly what your unit has to offer. Where if you go active duty military, the whole job field's open to you depending on where you score.
Hmm. So you mentioned that you went so that you could get your college paid for. So even in the reserves, you still have a lot of the same benefits as active duty. Is that right?
So for the reserves, you still have a lot of the benefits. Obviously, you're not going to have as much as active duty, so you'll still get paid
Mhm.
as a reserve, but you get paid only whenever you're actually there working, just like a regular job. You do get benefits for college. So whenever you sign up in active duty, you get those benefits for basically your GI Bill. You pay towards them, and you get them. The benefits for the GI Bill through the reserves is you have to enlist for a longer amount of time. So whenever I went in, it was 6 years. You had to sign a 6-year contract. and you didn't pay into it. And a lot of people think, oh man, 6 years, that's a long time. But after doing it I did it 21 years, and it seemed like, just yesterday I started in it. But the 6 years goes by fast. But yeah, see, a lot of the same benefits, things like that.
Hmm. So, what would you say was the best part about your time serving in the military? How did it positively impact you? Or can you remember maybe a great moment or something like that?
Well, I enjoyed all the moments in my military career, even the ones that weren't so much fun, just because it was all part of it.
Mhm.
For me, especially, I think um, joining and being part in it, to me, it was being part of something that was bigger than myself, being part of that team, and giving back the selfless service. I think that's also why I was kind of drawn to law enforcement, is serving something that was bigger than myself. So that to me was the personal thing that I saw from it. As far as like the tangible things and stuff, like I loved. I mean, some people may think it sounds silly whenever I say it, but like, so I deployed 3 times, twice to Iraq and once to Afghanistan, and I enjoyed those. I thought I had a blast doing it. It was fun to me. I enjoyed that, and just the camaraderie, the being around the people that are going through the same thing that you're going through. So no matter how good or how bad it is, there's still people there with you. So that camaraderie, especially in the Marine Corps, they say one of our sayings is "Once a Marine, always a Marine," and it's true, because I still have guys that I first got in with that I am still actively see all the time and stuff. Actually, one of the employees there at Brooks, Coach Doherty, me and him were in the unit together. So when we still hang out and talk and see each other all the time. So those are the things that I really enjoyed about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you just having that brotherhood, that sisterhood, just the closeness sounds really incredible. Um, so along with every good, of course, there's cons as well. So what would you say was the most challenging part about serving in the military?
The most challenging part, mm, I would say I guess it really depends on the mindset that you have.
Mhm.
Obviously, you're going to have to learn things, and you're going to be put in positions that maybe you don't think you're ready for, as
Mhm.
far as like leadership and roles like that. But if you think about it, like obviously hindsight's 2020, and whenever I think back on it, even though I didn't think I was prepared for those roles. It was scary. It was nervous because you didn't know what was going on, kind of. But they had prepared you for that. It's kind of like when you learn anything new. You don't know how to do geometry until you're taught how to do geometry, and then you either get it or you don't get it. I would say just the learning something completely new,
Mhm.
and that's something that even once you start doing your job, and even for me, whenever I retired, I was always learning new things on my job, learning new things within the field as far as leadership and stuff like that. I'll say that in my experience, it was a lot more challenging as I got older and the higher up I went in rank than it was whenever I first got in. Whenever I first got in, it was more like, hey, all you got to really do is just show up, do what you're told. And then as I got older, I'm that guy that showed up telling people what to do, but I'm responsible for everybody that's out there. And
Yeah.
I'm having to wonder, okay, hey, where's this guy at? What's this guy doing? And so, yeah, I would say those. It was just challenging that. And then the aspect of, especially when you first get into the military, because no matter what they tell you or how much you read about it, you're not prepared until you just get there and start doing it. Because
Yeah.
there's always stuff they didn't tell you about. And just the human factor, the anxiety of just doing something new. And most times when you go to boot camp, like for me, when I went to boot camp, I didn't go with anybody that I knew. So everybody was like brand new.
Yeah.
So, but you get over that. And same thing whenever you go to a unit, most of the time you're not going to know guys within that unit. That's also another thing as far as like within the reserves, because you're closely based at home. You may actually know some of those guys. They may just live down the road from you. or they graduated a couple years ahead of you, and things like
Mhm.
that. So
Yeah. So, would you do you have advice for students that are maybe interested in pursuing a career in the military? What would you share with them?
I would say this much is for anybody. I would say that military service is not for everybody. You gotta really be, you gotta want to do it. And like I said, I think it's more along the lines of kind of like I was talking about, where you have maybe a servant's mindset and you want to do something that's not about you, because a lot of times it's not going to be about you within the military. It's literally about everybody. So
Mhm.
you're not going to get that recognition or that pat on the back, and if that's what you need, then you're going to struggle. And it is a lot of times, especially for younger adults and everything, is you're being told what to do all the time. But within any career, always going to be told what to do, and you're going to have a boss. I'll say this much: once you get into the military and you figure it out, it is so easy. And I don't understand why people don't do it. Yes, there are challenges, but there's challenges within any profession,
Mhm.
because within the military, and I break it down to simple things, is you are literally provided a bed, you're provided food, and they tell you be at this place at this time, and you get to go and do A, B, and C, and then go home at this time, and everything else is provided for you. It is so easy. And I mean, I would suggest for anybody, if you're not sure of what you want to do, or maybe maybe college doesn't look like the route that you want to take, and you want to experience something, but you don't know what. The military is a great provider for that, because you can get experience. And as far as the jobs, you think of anything that you can do in the civilian world, you can do it in the military. It's
Mhm.
not just about being infantry or driving a tank. We have we have welders, we have meteorologists, we have accountants, we have logistics, we have everything. So you'll get that training, and then 4 maybe 6 years down the road, you decide, okay, I decide I want to get out. Well, now you got that chance. You got out. You got that real world experience that was provided for you at good pay, with everything taken care of for you. So you've got some backing to start within the civilian world. Plus, on top of that, if you do want to go to college, now you have that option available for you. And while you're in, you can do a lot of your college. I waited till later in life. I think I was 38 at the time, and I went back and actually got my degree from UNA, and I did it all online. So I was well past the age that most people are going to college for their freshman year. So yeah, I
Yeah.
would I would suggest it's a great option for anybody.
Oh, yeah, that's such good advice. And Michael, thank you so much for your service. Is there any last words of wisdom you would like to share with Brooks High School students?
Uh, just figure out what you want to do. Uh, Figure out what you want to do. Set your goals towards whatever that is, and figure out ways to achieve it. That's
Mhm.
about the best I can tell you.
I love it. Well, thanks, Michael. Thanks for all of your service and sharing all of this wonderful information. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Miss Clark.